violence, Mr. Earl Jordan, who is the president and CEO of an organization called Partners in the Struggle. And of course, with Mr. Jordan is Reverend Frank Stevenson. Reverend Stevenson is the pastor of St. Luke Primitive Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, Reverend Stevenson and Mr. Jordan, let me welcome both of you to the show this morning to talk about what we consider to be a very, very important and indeed a timely issue, and that is some kind of effort to stop all of this craziness in reference to gun violence. Right. And we want to talk about that today, Mr. Jordan, but before we do that, let's have you and later Reverend Stevenson to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important in terms of eventually leading you to become active in this effort.
Right. Well, first of all, Dr. Henry, I'd like to thank you for having Pastor Stevenson and I on your show. We're honored to be here to speak on behalf of the gun violence issue that's going on here in Nashville. My background starts with growing up in South Nashville, J.C. Napier homes, learning a lot of good things coming out of public housing, what some people think that are very, very negative. I learned a lot of good things coming out of public housing. Went to the metro schools, went to McGavick High School, where I definitely graduated with Pastor Stevenson's brother, Ronnie. We call him Blue. That was his nickname in school. So we both have a similar background as far as knowing each other. Thus going into Partners in the Struggle. October 17th of 1995, there was a little girl by the name of Adrian Nicole Dixon who was murdered at the Hickory Hollow Mega Market. Same time, a month earlier, September 23rd, 1995, my daughter, Clenicia, was born. And being a first-time father, I thought, what would I do if something like that was happening to my child? And so I think at that time, that's when God kind of manifested this seed inside my soul where he wanted me to be the voice for families whose loved ones have been murdered. And thus far, going in 2008, I'll be going into our 10th year of Partners in the Struggle. The voice for families whose loved ones have been murdered. We do what we can, talk to the parents, pray with the parents, do whatever we need to do to comfort the families. You see here I'm wearing a Virginia Tech jersey, basketball jersey. And as you know, earlier this year, we had 32 loved ones who lost their lives at Virginia Tech, and we also had another shooting this morning at Delaware State University. So this gun violence can happen at any time, right? And so we just want to kind of put it on a national level with the ceasefire, and we want to get anybody and everybody who's been affected by a murder due to gun violence to come out, represent themselves, represent their loved ones, and so we can really educate the issue what's going on in our city.
Very good. And Reverend Stevenson.
Thank you, Dr. Haney, and thank you for all that you do in our community and our city. You are certainly a pioneer, and we are excited to have you as our trailblazer. I am a graduate of the University of Tennessee at Martin, where I did my undergraduate studies in political science. I have my master's degree from Murray State in Kentucky. I serve as the senior pastor of St. Luke Primitive Baptist Church, which is right in the heart of one of the highest crime areas in the city. I oftentimes say if you got a good arm, you can stand on our church porch and throw a rock, and if you throw it hard enough, you'll hit the housing projects. And so we're right in the middle of a lot of things that happen in that community, and so we want to be a voice, and we want to be a shining opportunity in that area. And so we've taken advantage of opportunities to partner with organizations like Partner in the Struggle, which is committed to reducing gun violence in our communities. And so I'm excited to be a part of this national effort to call for a ceasefire as it relates to this issue. We have seen too often too many of our young people who are dying too prematurely. And so we want to move the needle on this disparity in our community as it relates to gun violence. We recognize that gun violence it moves into a lot of areas, and so you can't look at it in silo, and so we're excited that you have challenged us to have this conversation here just today.
And of course we'll have our first commercial break within the next 30 or 35 seconds, but I think that this is what we wanted to do, to assemble the two of you, and when we come back, we want, I guess, Brother Jordan to talk about something that we've talked about time and time again, the causes dealing with all of this violence. We know that whether we look back in the 10 or 15 years from now, I mean, back 10 or 15 years ago, we're still talking about basically some of the same causes and et cetera. And so we want to make sure that we do that again and therefore be able to at least lay the foundation for why we ought to have this ceasefire conference. Of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. We're talking to Mr. Earl Jordan.